Welcome back, everyone. We continue to follow the breaking news. 13 hostages freed today by Hamas. Right now, those hostages are back in Israel. President Biden is going to speak soon on the freed hostages. We're told 1:45 p.m. Eastern time, about 15 minutes from now. Let's get more reaction to this hostage deal and the ceasefire with Newsmax foreign policy analyst Walid Shoebats. Walid is also the author of Iran, an Imperialist Republic and U.S. Policy. Also with us, this panel, former Undersecretary of Defense and former U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Robert Wilkie. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Watching this historic moment play out. Of course, the world has been waiting for the release of these hostages. Up on our screen now, we have names, photos. We found out the ages of these hostages, as old as 85, as young as just 2 years old. Walid, let me start with you. I'd like to get your thoughts on the release, the ceasefire taking place in Gaza. We're seeing a lot of pressure on this administration because while we're hearing 3 Americans will be released as part of the 50 over this 4-day period coming up of the ceasefire, none have been released today. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Jan, first of all, it's always humanitarian success to bring back hostages either to the United States, to the European states, to Asian states, and of course to the Israelis. That is a principle. But let's look at the geopolitical strategy of Hamas, and behind Hamas, Iran. On the third day after October 7, when Hamas seized those hundreds of hostages, on this channel, we discussed that Hamas basically is preparing itself for the release to gain time. And people were asking over the weeks, why to gain time? For what? Well, now we see at the border, 2 prime ministers from Europe are delivering speeches about how it is important that the actual operations by Israel will start. They sit down at the table of negotiations. Actually, it's to kill Israeli plan to take back or to take Gaza and then allow a replacement of Hamas in the future. It's all strategically political.
Secretary, let me ask you this. Has the Biden administration done enough in terms of their work in brokering this deal? We've been told that Biden has been instrumental. Have they done enough in order to bring these hostages home, both Israelis and Americans?
Well, I'm sitting with the expert when it comes to cataloging the Biden administration's disastrous Iranian policy. Let's look at what needs to be done. First of all, we would like to have those 240 hostages back, but that can't take away from Israel's effort to neutralize Hamas. On the other side, we're experiencing daily attacks on American forces and no response from this administration. So, as Walid said, with each ceasefire that comes with the trickling out of hostages, Hamas strengthens its political position around the world, and also because of the Biden administration's schizophrenic policy toward Israel and the Middle East, they will increase the pressure on the Israelis to stop fighting. Last thing, Michael Oren, the former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., just said that the Biden administration pressured the Netanyahu cabinet not to take more forceful action against Hezbollah, lest they make the Iranians mad. That's the kind of schizophrenic faculty lounge lunacy that we're dealing with this administration.
And Wally, let me ask you this, because as part of this deal, Israel is releasing 150 Palestinian prisoners, terrorists, if you will, from Israeli captivity. A lot of people are pretty upset about this, saying, we're getting 50 hostages back to Israel. And there was a shocking exchange yesterday. This happened between a Sky News journalist and a spokesperson for the Israeli government. I want to get your reaction. Listen.
The 50 hostages that Hamas has promised to release, as opposed to the 150 prisoners that are Palestinians that Israel has said that it will release. Does Israel not think that Palestinian lives are valued as highly as Israeli lives?
That is an astonishing accusation. The fact that we are willing to release prisoners who are convicted of terrorism offenses, more of them than we are getting our own innocent children back, somehow suggests that we don't care about Palestinian lives. Really, that's a disgusting accusation.
Yeah, just a shocking question there, Walid. Tell us quickly, I only have about 30 seconds, but where are these Palestinian and Hamas prisoners, terrorists? Where are they going?
Well, first of all, this is a woke jihadi statement she made. I mean, there's a complete mess up in our academia and our elites in this country in terms of explaining it to the public. Obviously, they negotiate. Israelis and Hamas, through a third, fourth party, are negotiating. It's up to each side to decide what they're going to exchange. That's under international law. Where these hostages, where the released Palestinian activists or terrorists in most cases will go, they will be recycled into Hamas, and Hamas will recycle them on the front. It could be inside Israel, but remember that they have Hezbollah in the north. They have a heaven of terrorism in Syria and Iraq. It's always bad when, like we did in Guantanamo, at one point, to release jihadists to the jihadi world. It's a mistake.
All right, we have to leave it there. But Secretary Robert Wilkie, Walid Shoebats, thank you both for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, stay with us. Again, President Biden to be speaking from Nantucket at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We're keeping tabs on that, as well as Israel, where we follow the release of these 13 hostages. Stay with us. Keep it right here on Newsmax.